What's up, a Cinema Shogun here, and remember Ezra Miller? It seems like we haven't talked about him in a while. I know a lot of you all are new here, but for everyone that's been here for a while now, you all already know that months and months ago, I exposed the fact that Ezra Miller was running his own little cult. Now, the mainstream media had reported on the fact that he had possibly groomed this 12-year-old little girl and her family was looking for her. But I really dived into that story really deeply and exposed so much about Ezra Miller way before the mainstream media ever got around to doing so. To this day, I still feel weird about the situation because I don't know why I was able to uncover so much that the mainstream media wasn't reporting on yet. And I almost feel like the mainstream media knew about this stuff, but they were trying to hide this stuff, or they were trying to block at least key details about what was going on with Ezra Miller from coming out. But I reported early on that not only was Ezra Miller doing this weird stuff with these young girls, but he was forming his own little cult. And to this day, I still get pushback about that. Everyone's like, no, those were just his friends. And they have, a million and one excuses. When the reality is, folks, if you go back and watch those videos, we got down to the nitty gritty and we all know that he was forming his own cult. He was referring to himself as the second coming of Christ. He was convincing little kids who were confused about their genders and stuff. He convinced them that they were elevated beings, not from this world, that they were better than normal humans. It was all types of weird stuff going on. Well, now, today, of all days, months later, it has finally come out that Ezra Miller had a Native American medicine man with him, a spiritual advisor that was helping convince people, and maybe even helping convince Ezra Miller himself, that he was a Messiah, sent here for one reason, to battle with like the Illuminati and stuff. I am not even joking. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of information dropping about Ezra Miller today. I'm going to have to crank out multiple videos. If I covered everything in one video, the video would be over an hour long. So I'm going to give you all snippet pieces of chunks of just weird, bizarre information about Ezra Miller today. But here we go. North Dakota medicine man. The actor had hired as a spiritual advisor, Young Bear, seems to have stoked Miller's outsized vision of himself. Jasper was telling Ezra that he wasn't part of the movement, he was the movement, that he was the next Messiah, and that the Freemasons were sending demons out to kill him, says a source who, like others, have been close to Ezra. Sometimes he even misgenders Ezra, but he says that behind closed doors, Ezra doesn't mind if people call him a him or a he. Now, one thing you all will notice about this Ezra Miller story, it's like the mainstream media is so wrapped up in this dude's pronouns that they don't even care that he's out here having sex with 14-year-old girls and convincing them that they're freaking angels sent from God above who wanted them to come here for the sole purpose of not having a clear gender. Like, this is weird, bizarre stuff going on. But the mainstream media and even Ezra's fan base, they're so concerned about respecting his pronouns. We literally have the person writing this article, releasing this information, sitting here fighting with the people who actually know Ezra about his pronouns. In real life, behind closed doors, Ezra doesn't care about that pronoun stuff. It's all an act. It's all a mask that he puts on for Hollywood because it helps out his career, because Hollywood loves blurring the line between genders. And Ezra Miller is a gender blurrer. But in real life, he likes girls. He doesn't. I don't have any evidence of him ever being with a man. Okay, he has multiple girlfriends at a time. He bashes them, breaks them down. He does all types of crazy stuff. Yet they're so worried about his pronouns, but even people close to Ezra right here confirm that, oh, we don't even call him they, them. That's just y'all in Hollywood and stuff. In real life, we all call him a him, and he doesn't mind that. So I find that funny. But young Bear would not respond to the questions that they reached out and asked him. But even in an interview with British GQ, published a while back, Miller seemed to suggest a higher purpose, telling the writer, "My prerogative is service. I am here to do what I can for everybody I can do for." The rest of the interview, the writer says, was less of a conversation and more like a string of sermons. I'm not sure exactly what he even meant, but it sounded cool, so I just nodded my head along. According to The Insider, the actor has grown increasingly narcissistic, often choosing young people for his audience because they are more impressionable. He talked about the metaverse and medicine and how he's the Messiah and what his work is here. He says that his spiritual practice is to be among the people, which means party. So when he was in Iceland, he was out nonstop partying. He was at raves where he would go on benders for 2 or 3 days at a time. Sometimes Miller would extend offers to people the actor met during their travels, says a source. He was telling these young kids, "You're going to be in my band. I'm going to produce your album. You can run my music studio." Whether they were visual artists, DJs, kids, college kids, high school kids, or sometimes kids who might have even been homeless, he would recruit them in a period of vulnerability and promise them all of these things. Now that sounds really familiar, right? That almost sounds exactly like what I was telling you all 4 or 5 months ago. Finally, the mainstream media gets around to it. But yeah, not only does he have this cult-like dynamic, not only does he think he's the Messiah, he believes that he's leading this spiritual battle against the freaking New World Order out here. Imagine that. Wonder if he's telling the truth. Wonder if we're all being harsh on Ezra, but in reality, he is the next Messiah. Sent here to battle Hillary Clinton. Like, we don't know. That's what he's got people convinced of. That's what he's convincing these little kids of. He armed them with Kevlar vests, AK-47s, and drove down to North Carolina to fight the Klan. He's doing all types of weird stuff. He's got this medicine man in tow. And by medicine man, I'm guessing he's just feeding Ezra all types of hallucinogenics. Think about it. He's probably got Ezra on ayahuasca, got Ezra on shroomies, got Ezra on the he's got Ezra on anything you can think of that is putting Ezra out of his mind. I want to know more about this medicine man. We need to learn more about this spiritual advisor, because if you ask me, he is complicit with everything that Ezra has done. If we're going to hold Ezra responsible, I want to take a look at this guy. Is this guy literally feeding Ezra these drugs and then putting these thoughts in Ezra's head? We talk about this time and time again, where these fan bases of these stars, they enable all of this weird, crazy behavior instead of wanting better for the stars that they look up to so much. If you really care about Ezra Miller, I know I'm going to get a half a dozen or a dozen mean messages in my Instagram and Twitter DMs because Ezra Miller's fan base is really passionate and they hate me, but they're not as bad as some fan bases. Ezra Miller's fan base, as toxic as they can be, they haven't been as crazy to me as some fan bases that I've dealt with recently. But if you're really a fan of this guy, get help, ask questions. What Ezra has been doing is not normal. I am not taking the blame off of Ezra, But when we know that he's got this medicine man, spiritual advisor, putting these delusions in his head while giving him medicine, I don't know, bro. We need to take a look at that. Because that sounds a little crazy to me. And I feel like he's also responsible for all of the people that Ezra has hurt. It's one thing for Ezra to be having these mental issues and, doing this cult-like stuff. It's another thing when he's got this other person in his ear that's kind of like guiding him. I would like to believe that this medicine man, spiritual advisor, I'm pretty sure he knows better. I'm pretty sure he knows that Ezra isn't a Messiah and he isn't going up to fight against the Illuminati. I'm pretty sure he's just raking in that money and selling those pills or whatever the hell he's giving to Ezra allegedly, maybe, I don't know. But what do you all think is going on? Let me know down in the comments below. Are you shocked that Ezra has this medicine man that's convinced him that he's the Messiah? It doesn't sound shocking to me. The crazier the world gets, the more I just accept everything as the norm. It's like this 10, 15 years ago, I think everyone would have been going crazy about this type of news. But because it's 2022, everyone's like, oh, an actor with a medicine man that convinced him he's a Messiah and he's fighting the Illuminati. Oh, get out of here. And he's grooming kids. Oh, man, yeah, that's crazy. And then they go about their day. This would be like groundbreaking, earth-shattering, #1 news story in the world if something like this happened years ago. But because it's 2022, it's just like, hey, it's just another freaking day in crazy clown world. But let me know your thoughts down below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.